Hi, I'm Emilia.
And I'm Yvonne. Together, we wrote a book on female friendships, and boy, do we have questions.
We're here to continue the conversation and help women to navigate, cultivate, and celebrate female friendships.
This is Girl Friendships.
I already have a smile on my face because today we are going to talk about some best girlfriend stories. Doesn't have to mean your best girlfriend. These are best stories of girlfriends who've been really, really good to us and how it made a difference, because we need to celebrate the people in our lives. You know, I will say my girlfriends are some of the best gifts in my life. They're gifts from God. God knew I needed these people, and I think he just handpicked them and put them in my life, and to this day, like, you know, even the days when I'm frustrated with them, I'm just thankful that I got to walk alongside some really, really special women. Different from my guy friends, but just some special women. So today we're going to celebrate, we're going to share stories of how some of those friends have shown up for us over the years. So I'm going to start. I think I've shared partially in an episode. I have a friend, her name is Susan. I can say her name. We go way back. Let's just leave it at that. And I can't say we started out as good friends because, you know, she moved to Niagara area when I was already living there. But we, you know, went to the same church, hung out kind of socially the same place. But she went to a different high school. Then we went to university together. Got married within a year or two of each other. You know, our friendship kind of ebbed and flowed over time. But it's settled in a really, really good place right now. How many years later? Like, I've known this woman for over 40 years. And there was a time, I think I shared, like, you know, when we were having children, they didn't have children yet. And I'm thinking, oh, I've gotten pregnant the second time. And she'd had surgery, so I went with the baby to go be with her. And it's just watching somebody celebrate your own joy when it's something they want for themselves and they don't have it yet. And she just modeled for me what a good friend looks like. Because I would read her face, you know, because I'm judgy. To say, wow, is she feeling a way, and she's just putting the best outside? Is she putting on this act to say, well, let me hold your baby, let me do this, and because she's just not there in her. But it was all genuine. Like, she's got the ability to truly enter in, from my perspective, my joy. Like, she celebrates all my successes. Like, she's excited for them, even sometimes more than I am for myself. And, you know, when I do beat myself up, when she's the first one to say, but you do this and you do this, and to pull me out, and I'm going, well, how do you do that? Like, you know, so there's one girlfriend who's just like, and I think she quietly, there's that song, what's the song, Bette Midler? Wind Beneath My Wings. And there's a part in the song that I was associated with my friend, and it might have appeared to go unnoticed, but I have it all here in my heart. I want you to know I know the truth. I would be nothing without you. So I'm not saying I would be nothing without this friend, but I am so much better with this friend, because she has this capacity to just quietly be a wind that I didn't know that I needed beneath my wing. So, Susan, if you're listening to this episode, here's to you, girl. And I have more stories to come, because I could think of all kind of other people, but I'll start with that one.
Amazing.
So, Jess, you have a good girlfriend story to share?
Well, technically this isn't my story, but I'm a part of it, so I will relay it as such. But, let's say, my best friend and I, we've known each other since we were about 7. We're not exactly sure when we met. We're not exactly sure how we met. We just know that one day we just kept seeing each other all the time. And then our
First you were not there, and then you were there.
Yeah.
she was just there
All the time.
forever. We're just like, yeah, okay. But I'd say our friendship got closer when we got to our teenage years for a myriad of reasons that I won't get into right now. But one thing that like I think we had both like said at the time was we want to be there for each other as much as possible when we can. And at this point, we both knew that we wanted to go to university, we wanted to go on a semester abroad, weren't sure what, for when, how, but if we could make it work, we were going to do that. So I was fortunate enough to be able to go for my second semester in the year 2017, and I was there for 6 months. And my best friend was actually able to go that same year, but in August of 2017. So I'm coming back from my trip. She's just leaving for hers. And I said, I will see you in France next year. And she was like, you don't have to come. You just got back from a trip. Don't even worry about it. And I said, it's not a question. I said, I'll see you in France next year. So she, again, didn't take me seriously at the time, but I'm back to work. I'm back at school. I can go and save up my little coins and go find something. Literally, we would FaceTime all the time. Our first FaceTime session after that whole move and everything, because my mom was there too. She and I FaceTimed for almost 10 hours straight. Fell asleep on the phone, woke up, kept going as if nothing happened. Because that's just like,
Wow.
That was the longest that we'd ever spent apart.
2 introverts can do that.
But again, we could sit on the phone in silence, so it didn't matter. But like I said, I promised her that I'd see her in the following year. I called her up one day on FaceTime and I said, hi, so I've been looking at some flights. I found one and I can get a round trip for $300. And she was like, oh, well, I don't know my exams. I said, well, I'm just letting you know that I booked it because I'm going. So these are the dates. This is the time. And she was like, okay, well, I might have to figure out my exam schedule, but blah, blah, blah. And I said, that's no problem. Once you know that, then we'll plan our itinerary. We had 3 whole weeks together from May till June. Went to London, went to her university city, went to Valencia, went to Amsterdam, went to somewhere else. Went to 3 spots. Milan, there it was. And we had the best time. And when she came back, she said to me, because I thought nothing of it, I'm just going to go see my best friend. That's all I care about. And we had an amazing time and I'm happy. You know, she came back and she's like, thank you for doing that. Because, basically, she said, thank you for doing that, because she was out there for a year. That's enough time for a student to save up flight tickets, at least. Like, I'm not fussy. I don't need my own hotel. I've known this girl since I was 7. We can share a bed type of thing. But she literally said that so many people had said that they were going to come visit, and nobody ended up, except for one other friend of ours, had ended up going to go out there and going to see her. And it's like, I had literally just depleted all of my savings to go on exchange literally the year prior, and here I am back again, willing to go spend some more money on her when she's like, of all the people that
Because this
gone,
friend could do with a visit from
because
home.
I just knew that she needed to see someone from home, because one of the things that I remember the most when I was on exchange was that I just needed a familiar face. Like, it was great that I had a friend from university there, but it's one thing to have a friend from uni, and it's another thing to have someone that you consider family. Because it's like, we don't even consider ourselves just friends anymore. Like, that is my sister. We might not have grown up blood related, but we grew up together. As far as I'm concerned, that's my sister, her parents are my parents, and vice versa. So, yeah, it just really touched me, because in my head I was thinking, like, I'm just doing something that I would do for any of my friends, because that's literally the relationships that have been modeled to me growing up. But this literally impacted her in such a way that she was like, yeah, all you friends can go suck an egg for all I care.
And a bad egg, too.
Because none of y'all could do this, but she could. So that made me feel happy because it wasn't an intentional thing that I was doing. I just wanted to go see my friend, but this literally deeply impacted her anyway. So.
And sometimes we just do sometimes it's a small thing, sometimes it's a big thing. Because it's sometimes when we go out for our friends and do stuff for them, go out for, extend ourselves. That's the word I'm looking for. It may mean some sacrifice on our part. But it just tells people really that you matter. Like, what a gift. You know, and whether it's a small thing, like I know you like chocolate cake. We talked about when we did the love language. You like gifts, but and the way you put it makes so much sense to me for the first time. It's like somebody thought of me that I like licorice, and they bring me licorice. Like that is a gift we can give someone. So, yay!
Yeah.
Yay.
That's amazing. That's such a cool story, and it definitely makes me reflect on what's been important to me and meaningful in my friendships. And I think, when I've had those moments when I've seen that somebody is loyal in the sense that you can spend time apart, you can spend time living in different cities, you can spend time, not consistently talking. And they're just willing to come and show up and, whether you directly ask for it or whether they just, get the message. So something that I'd love to share is, one of my close friends, from the time that I was in university, she and I think I might have mentioned this in one of the episodes, but she and I just hadn't chatted. She had 2 young kids at the time. They're now 5 and 8. So they were even younger because this was 4 years ago. And we just didn't talk for a period of about 3 years.
Where I'm supposed to remind you to talk about Renaissance?
Yes.
Renaissance. This is a word. Stay tuned. She's going to define what that is. This is the Renaissance. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
The Renaissance. No, it's so essentially this friend, I hadn't directly invited her to our female friendship book launch last year, but she saw it on Facebook and she decided to grab a ticket and show up. And that really blew me away because I think that, she could have like grabbed her ego and said, oh, well, Emilia hasn't talked to me in a few years. Like, she probably doesn't care about me that much.
About the book.
Yeah, exactly.
I could find about it on Facebook.
Exactly. But she said, no, like this is something that you've wanted to do like since I've known you in university. Wow. And so this is a milestone that needs to be celebrated. The fact that you went and you did this, you accomplished this thing that you've wanted for literally over a decade. And so that meant so much to me. And then, so since then, we've kind of kept a little bit more consistent with our communication. Mm-hmm. And then, so I saw that she was active on Facebook. I think this was like a few weeks ago now. I saw she was active on Facebook. So I decided to send her a message. Hey, how are you? Like, what's going on? And she's like, oh, can we have a phone chat? And so, so we set it up. We decided to have a phone chat. And then she actually shared with me that she's had quite a serious, she's been diagnosed with quite a serious illness and that she's going through treatment. And that hit me like a brick because it really made me realize that it's so easy to take the people that we love for granted. Mm-hmm. We say to ourselves like, oh, I'm busy, I'll call her next week, or, oh, I have so much going on. I'll try to make plans next month or whatever it is. And it really hit me. I mean, I was quite emotional, like immediately. And I don't know even how to have those kind of moments without, scary things happening. right? Like, it would be great if as humans we just knew automatically what people meant to us and we never took anyone for granted. But actually, I invited her down. Actually, I'm house sitting, so I invited her down for the night, and so we've had this lovely renaissance and just caught up on everything and just, chatting. And it's just amazing to me when somebody keeps their heart open for you, and they don't have an ego about them where they're saying, oh, she should have reached out, or this should have happened, or whatever. It's like they keep their heart open, and and anytime you can kind of have that renaissance, have those moments, catch up, and it was so beautiful.
And I'm fascinated by your choice of the word Renaissance, because I'm thinking of Renaissance, and when we have a Renaissance, it's a resurgence of something.
Yes.
So we've talked in these episodes about the ebb and flow of friendship. Some people are in our lives for a season, sometimes it's for a reason, sometimes it's forever. But in the ebb and flow, sometimes they ebb out and flow back.
Yes.
Right? And then we get a resurgence. So it's not like we had a major fight with these people or nothing. It's just life just took us for a period of time in different directions. And then, sometimes we're given this gift again.
Yes.
And then you kind of go, you remember all the things you loved and appreciated about the person. And you can be there to walk alongside them through a difficult period, and they can do the same for you. And to me, that is just a gift and a re-gift.
Yeah.
So maybe my takeaway from your story, Emilia, is our friendships ebb and flow. I mean, we're going to do a whole episode on the drift, but sometimes the people who were important and featured largely in our lives at one point, they may come back. There may be a resurgence of that at another time. So, because the person has drifted away, don't necessarily close yourself off and say, well, I'm not going to. If they come back, see what happens, because you never know what you can discover.
And I think vice versa too. I think that if you remember someone fondly that maybe you haven't reached out to in a while, and you think of them, reach out to them. This is actually, I've had another renaissance this year, and she's someone that I was super, super close to in high school. But then, I moved away for university, and so things happen, and you just don't spend as much time in touch. But she and I had a huge catch up, and I went to her house, and I've known her husband because they were high school sweethearts. And so we all had this big, long catch up. I don't even know how many years it's been. It's been probably 8 years, if not actually maybe more, than I had seen them. And we had this incredible renaissance. You step back into that space with your friend, and you're like, oh my God, yes, I remember all the things I love about you, and how good I feel around you, and how much I enjoy our communication, our chats and everything. So I think it goes both ways, right? Where you can stay open when somebody reaches out and they say, hey, let's meet up. I haven't seen you in years. And then the other thing is, if you think to reach out to someone, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to say, hey, life got busy, but I still love and cherish you, and I would love to, hang out or have a renaissance or go away for a weekend, whatever it is.
And sometimes people may have moved on. They may not necessarily want us back in their lives that way, but I remember the first time I signed up on Facebook. The first friend suggestion was somebody I went to university with. Hadn't seen for years. And literally, I just reached out and said, hey, how are you? Got a response she's living where she's living, what she's doing now. And it was just so good. But, just the reaching out. And I don't need to see her on a regular basis, but just we shared a moment in time. So I think part of this talk about celebrating our friendship stories is to, when you think back on those fond memories, don't necessarily wait to just tell people about it, but reach back and tell that person. It's back to what Jess was saying earlier. Just be nice, be kind.
Yeah.
Who would not appreciate getting a call to say, man, I was just thinking about you the other day, and I remember the time when you shared your Twinkie with me, and, and I really was,
and you know how much I love Twinkies.
You know how much I love Twinkie, and you're getting your whole life. Anyways, but stuff like that, because if it's still a memory and it's active as it puts a smile on your face, I'm sure they would appreciate hearing it. And you never know, because just the time you think to call and share that person may have just needed an affirmation. Yeah.
And also, one of the things that I found really interesting about, my recent Renaissance is that, sometimes people, you can grow apart, and you can find that you have, different values or, different opinions on things that are kind of core to how you live your life. And then sometimes you can find that, you haven't seen somebody in a while, or you haven't talked to someone in a while, but somehow you landed on the exact same page, even though you weren't together for that time, or you weren't talking in that time. And I think that's so beautiful. I think it's really, really cool to see that you continue to have a kindred spirit in someone.
Yeah. Even though all these years have passed.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we're sharing stories. So let me think of another story. Actually, just recently, my most recent book, A Legacy of Secrets. It's just been such a busy summer. I didn't get a chance to do an official book launch. And I was in between speaking engagements and traveling and stuff like that. So I literally picked a date. And I said to the family, help! So, I said, Jeremy, could you please help me design a flyer so I could put it out? Jessica, day off, she's my girl, day off event. And then I called up my friend Anna and Michelle, and I said, I need refreshments. Could you just make it happen? Here's a budget to work with. And no problem. All they said was no problem. And I knew, because I was going to be gone and coming back literally days before the event. And I checked in with them, do you need anything? I sent them money, Everything plus was organized on the day of you were away. But they came in, they brought food, they brought refreshments, like the stuff that they put together. And, there are times when I have a lot of words, but words fail you, because it's just like, people care. Like, I'm so used to doing for other people, but every once in a while when somebody does for me, even though I asked and I would have done the same thing, I'm always amazed.
Yeah.
I mean, they just went over and above. It was their joy, no problem. They wouldn't want to hear of me saying anything about whatever, because that's what friends do. I remember the other posse of girlfriends, it was the same thing. My mother had passed away. I mean, she'd lived with dementia for Alzheimer's for a long time, so it wasn't unexpected. But literally the day they got the news, that night, all of them showed up.
Wow.
And they knew my family was coming in that weekend because it was a quick turnaround for the funeral. They showed up. They bought, plates and pots, and they made food. I didn't have to do anything. Yeah. And they just showed up and they just stayed with us. And I'm going, whoa. Like, there are moments that, like I said, that's another one that just makes me want to get teary-eyed, but I won't. But, it's nice to have, and I'm not saying this is unique to girlfriends, but these are specific instances where these women in my life have stood up for me. You're walking through a rough path. They've let me cry on their shoulder, and I don't cry that often, so their shoulder's not too wet. But they've been there. And so I've told them this before. I'm going to try to tell them again and remind them that I appreciate them, because we need to pour into people. I use this word a lot when it comes to that, but that is never going to be wasted, because just us saying thank you, and I see that you see me, and I get the fact that you do this just for me. I so appreciate you for it.
Yeah.
So let's celebrate all there is. We can celebrate in our friends. Any other stories to share?
Yeah. There is a friend of mine who, it was really special. I think, oh my gosh, was it just last year? It feels like it's been a decade since last year. So I had like a karaoke bachelorette party, and she had kind of like a last minute emergency come up and she couldn't make it. But she organized this whole outing for just her and I, so that we could properly celebrate, in anticipation of me getting married. And, she found this incredible, like, almost like a speakeasy piano bar, because like you really wouldn't know that it was there. And it was karaoke, which I love.
I'm judging people like you.
Fair enough. That's okay. We can't all hold the microphone. I appreciate the people that just listen. She took me to this really lovely restaurant downtown, and it was just so fun, and it was such a wonderful, like, full circle moment. I think that through all this reflection that I've done on friendships, it's, I'm coming to realize how special it is when somebody over the course of decades, like, regardless of how your life changes and their life changes, they come back, you come back, and they find new ways to celebrate you. They find new ways to support you, and vice versa. And that you, kind of what I mentioned at the beginning of the episode about loyalty, just continue to show up and say, nope, you're still important to me. We lived in different cities. You're still important to me. This came about, and whatever it was, like, we didn't get a chance to chat for a while. You're still important to me. Kind of coming back, like, I kind of think about it like the ocean, like, the tide and the waves. Yeah. And, and I really appreciate and love that so much.
Mm-hmm. Jess?
I guess the only other story that I can think of right now is my 25th birthday party. I think I actually had that on my birthday that year. I can't remember. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting because just as you were talking, I was just thinking about the story, and I'm like, that's so interesting. It strengthens some friendships and started the end of others. But the good part about that whole thing was I have always wanted to have a surprise party. I've never, had one. I've gotten surprised by people and things and whatever else, but I just wanted one surprise party. And I was just like, okay, fine. I'm turning 25. Finally got my own apartment, got my own money. I'm gonna spend a little bit.
She's gonna surprise herself. And she won't tell herself.
But I was still like, I don't have anyone that I can just be like, yeah, can you plan a surprise party for me? Because that kind of defeats the purpose of a surprise party.
Yeah.
So I started planning my own party because I was just like, well, I know what people I want to come, and I know what I want to do. And luckily, one of my friends, her sister-in-law is like a event planner, party planner. She does all types of balloon arches. She's amazing. And so I just reached out and I was like, hey, here's the idea. Here's what I'm looking for. Can you send me how much that would cost? And then we can see if we can work out a budget that works in between, because I like to pay people what they're worth, And so throughout all that process, I never once got asked, can you pay the money? I think I paid a deposit, and then that was it. And I just kept going like, it's strange she hasn't reached out yet, because I have the money sitting there and I'm ready to pay it. But she hasn't reached out, so, I go and get my hair done, I go and get my nails done, put on my little dress, do my makeup, go down to my grandpa's house, because that's where the thing was going to happen, and then I get this text message saying, congratulations, and I was like, for what? My friends all pay for the party for me.
Aww.
And I was like, I was trying my best not to cry, and it still makes me want to cry to this day, because it's just like, friends who listen to me, like, I don't care what else you do. I don't care. It just touched me in a way because it's like that year we were really trying to emphasize like being present and being there for each other and stuff like that. And I would have never in my life would I ever ask for them to like, you know, surprise me in that way, because not all of us were working even full time at the time.
Yeah.
So it's like the fact that they were willing to do that for me goes to show that these are people that it's like they cared a lot. And like I'm so used to being the friend that gives that when like people give stuff to me, I'm always just like, oh, don't do it. But it really touched me, and I still talk about it. It's 3 years now later, and it's still like one of my most favorite birthday parties, because it's just like having friends that one care and then two show up for you. Can't ask for much else.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as you listen to these stories, you know, whether it's making you nostalgic or sad, but I'm hoping not sad, that you can reflect on the people you currently have in your life. In case you don't have any girlfriends that you can celebrate and you're in between seasons, then just reach out, find somebody else in your life, a mom, dad, parent, partner.
Or maybe an old friend.
Or an old friend.
You've been listening to the Girl Friendships Podcast with Yvonne and
Emilia, thanks for listening. You can find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.
leave a comment, please, to let us know your thoughts.
And come back next time for another episode of Girl Friendships.